Welcome back. Now our eyes are firmly on the economy, and I would say very aptly so. There's been plenty of talk about the economy. The currency is sliding. Oil prices have slumped. People are calling for devaluation, and people are saying don't devalue. I mean, the discourse is just so complicated, I would say. So the states are not getting enough money from the center. A lot of them are not paying their salaries. So what are they doing about this? The economy seems to be just tumbling, confusing, the whole works.
Or just there?
It's just there.
Just there.
To use Nigerian parlance, it's just there. And it doesn't seem to be doing much. So, but we cannot afford to let it remain just there. We got to do something about it. So what can we do to get ourselves out of this pass in which we find ourselves? We have with us in the studio Mr. Ayodeji Onigbogi, who's a development finance expert. Good morning.
It's a pleasure.
We also have on my left Mr. Vincent Nwani, Director, Research and Advocacy at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. Thank you.
As well as Dr. Uju Ugubunka, President, Bank Customers Association. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
So it's all happening at the same time. And I think in the course of the week, the one that people spoke about the most was the exchange rate that dramatically fell from 400 to 405 naira on Monday to about 270 on Thursday.
I moved up again yesterday.
And then moved up the very next day. So what magic brought it down drastically like that? And what happened again within 24 hours that took it back up? Do you have any idea?
Well, I read in a paper yesterday that some forces in the central bank claim responsibility for bringing it down. But then, that is the paper. I'm not able to confirm that. But you will see a volatile interplay of speculators. And as far as the exchange rate is concerned, of course, market, that is not market again. You know, something very, very artificial is playing out, especially in the autonomous wing of the foreign exchange market. At the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we've made a representation to the Apex Bank, the central bank, a number of times that now that the private sector have just a major option to play in the autonomous market, it's important that we reorganize that market by having a definite framework. You know, one of that framework is to see liquidity come into that market, because absence of liquidity is really, really impacting it's not just the rate now, but can you even assess it? At 405 naira, I can tell you authoritatively that people that needed $100,000 dollar didn't get it at 400. So it's not about the rate now, but access. You know, the central bank since July 3 last year have, in responding to the challenge of dwindling oil prices, dwindling receipt of crude dollar, have tried to manage demand, rolling out a number of policies, banning 41 items. They move again, stopping things like cash lodgement to domiciliary account and even prohibiting export proceeds from for certain uses. Now, while managing demand, unfortunately, supply that's supposed to flow into the market was also affected. You know, one of the things is that the market moved from a position of risk to uncertainty. You know, businesses, we like risk, and we take risk because we're able to calculate our loss or profit. But immediately you give us a position of uncertainty, we are confused, and, you know, and we're afraid. So the removing uncertainty in the FX market is very, very important, because we see a lot of investors that wanted to come into the country, wanted to do transaction, but central bank compelling them to bringing the money at the official exchange rate, I think 199. You know, they bring the money into the country, but they are playing in a market that understands 350, 400. You're already making losses, and investors are not fool.
Let me just come in here with this question, still with you, before we come to the other guest. There is a situation, for instance, within the week we had this news about protesters, people selling, retailing pure water, sachet water, normally called pure water, in Benin. They went in, they protested that the price of, or the fall of the naira has affected the price of pure water.
Yes.
Now, what they used to buy for 120, or 100 naira, they're now buying for 180. So that means a sachet of water would be for about 20 naira. So what I want to ask in layman terms, how is the absence or the lack of the dollar against the naira affecting the man out there on the street?
Simple, because
even the price of bread has gone up.
Exactly,
price
everything.
Of tomato,
exactly.
Everything.
So how does it affect them?
Yeah, it's simple. It's erroneous for people to believe that the only thing that will be affected are the imported items. But even the things we make locally, like tomato, the pure water, also have to be affected, because the man manufacturing pure water buys from the open market. In order to protect your real income, to keep your wealth level close to where it is before, the normal thing to do is to respond to the market. So it's very simple. You buy pure water at 100 naira per bag. I think a bag is 20 sachets. Now it's 180 naira, and that applies to every other thing we're producing, even in the country. It's a response to the same exchange rate, because the man that is producing or selling also have to buy from the exchange rate controlled market. Like 65% of everything we buy or sell in Nigeria, even what we are wearing, if you really assess it, have 65% import component. So in responding to such market, everybody have to adjust. And the reason why they have to protest is because it affects their sales and turnover. Okay. Because what they're selling, again, the elasticity of what they're selling is very elastic. There are alternative, people can reduce consumption. So at the end of the day, you become poorer.
Okay. Now, doctor, our dependence on importation, on the dollar, there's been plenty of talk about, let's look inwards, let's begin to produce, let's think Nigerian, buy Nigerian. Okay, all that is good talk, but do you see any concerted effort to make the Nigerian think that way and behave that way? We know that all this isn't going to have any effect tomorrow or next month or next year. It's a long, it's a long journey. It's not a sprint. Do you see any effort?
Well, the effort is there. But like you said, it's not, you don't have it in an integrated form where everybody believes in it and works towards it. Now, and that is the role the government is supposed to be playing. Have a focus on what is needed to be done. Convince the people that there is need for us to move in this direction, and let all hands be on deck towards that direction. If you see what is happening in the society today, you see young men, women, youth, everywhere. In the morning hours, they come outside, sit around, do absolutely nothing. Yet we have expanse of land that you have uncultivated. These are areas that you can mobilize these young people into action. If only you can lay emphasis in that area and prove to them that there is something in it for everyone. So I think people are working individually to keep body and soul together. But we need to have, everybody's buy-in into it and get people to work towards it. If you are in the village, for instance, and you finish secondary school or you graduate from the university, the next thing you want to do is to head towards any of the urban centers to go and look for a job. Most of the time it's non-existent anyway. Or even if you have just a few of them get jobs, what will the others be doing? Emphasis should be stay where you are, make that place more conducive. That's why we have local government administration, we have state government administration, but like you rightly said, most of these people are not doing as much as they are expected to do. Get those environments better. Bring a lot of incentives that will make these people stay back in those areas. Cultivate the land. Do some other things that are necessary to, bring productivity into the country. But we are not seeing much of that. What we see, people coming to the towns, lazy around, and before you know it, they become criminals, as it were. So I believe that, for instance, the National Youth Service can be reformed to drive this kind of project. Most of the time I ask myself, what do children of today go to do in the National Youth Service program? You just send them there, they look for offices to go and work in. Most of the time, they don't have enough input. They are all underemployed. So I believe that if we reform even that sector alone, that may be able to kickstart a buy-in for all of us, where we can then drive the issue of agro-based, businesses and so on and so forth.
Okay. Mr. Onigbogi, what he said about youth, young people coming out and just sitting down doing nothing in the mornings, how can that be changed? Yes, he's talked about reforming the National Youth Service Corps, but is that the way to go? Because while you're reforming the National Youth Service Corps, there are still some other young people who have finished school, who have done their youth service, they are still there doing nothing. And then they look at the city. This man finished from my school, he's from my community. He moved to the urban center, and he's a Pt.1 public servant. And he's making money. So why would I want to go back to farming, as you're suggesting? How would this play out? In the efforts to reform or to revamp Nigeria's economy?
To really revamp Nigeria's economy,